Here we go. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Boston Boys Sports Podcast. I am, of course, your king of Carver. I'm Eli Horrigan, and I'm here with my main guy, the Beard Keeper. What's up, brother?
Good game on tonight. Talk about week 9. Get some Celtics in. I'm feeling good tonight, buddy.
I'm feeling really good, man. We've had a good run here with the C's. We'll talk. I know they just lost, but we'll talk about a little bit about them. We have, of course, are missing our third, which is Stevie Fernandez, Stevie Stats, as we call him. Again, we hope to get him back soon, but we are going to hold it down tonight. We're going to be doing our Week 9 studs, our Week 9 duds, our power rankings. Where do the Patriots sit after making the monumental jump out of the 30s for me? But of course, we want to mention we are partnered with Jones Sports. We make sports better. Check them out on X. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on YouTube. They are putting out great content every single day, as are we. You got to check us out on X because Stevie's absolutely killing it over there. But why don't we jump into our studs right away, as we always do? Remember, this is Week 9, has nothing to do with tonight's great game. I, unfortunately, don't have Wi-Fi right now, so I can't get onto Prime to watch it. So Kiefer's going to be giving me the updates as we stand here and talk to each other. But let's go to Week 9 studs. Kiefer, number one stud from Week 9.
The team playing tonight, the Baltimore Ravens offense.
The Baltimore Ravens offense. Wow. Okay.
Now, last week, Jackson went 16 for 19, 283 touchdowns. Henry, 106, 2 touchdowns, 27 receiving yards. And Flowers went for 127 and 2 touchdowns. This team was just clicking last week. And their defense isn't great. They were just actually saying it on Prime. Their defense is not showing out like last year. So offense is going to have to keep them afloat. So I go with the Ravens.
You went with the Ravens. And that's interesting because we were super on last week. Remember, we had all of our power rankings teams were the same. And to keep it rolling, my number one team was the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, for all the reasons you just said, we are on the same page. Believe it or not, I bet Denver plus 9.5 because defensively, I'm like, Denver's been really good. And Baltimore, they struggled with Cleveland, and God, I had to eat that right on the chin. On top of that, they go out and get Tre'Davious White and Deontay Johnson, which we'll talk about later in the show as well. But all the reasons you just said, Baltimore, they maybe just a trap game. It's Cleveland. It was a bad matchup. It's a divisional opponent because they came back and they looked on fire. They were awesome. So I agree with you. We don't have to spend too much time on Baltimore then.
Sweet.
Why don't we jump to our number 2? Give me your number 2 stud.
Saquon Barkley.
Oh, my God. That ridiculous. Oh, he is so good.
I ain't never seen that ever in my life playing, Pee Wee football, Mighty Mighty football, regular football, watching it my whole life, anything, flag football, never seen anything like that. But 127, 159, touchdown. He had a touchdown, a receiving touchdown and 40 yards. I mean, he's an animal. Him and Derrick Henry are changing what running back should be paid for when it comes to going to a team because they are just unreal.
Well, they're built like they remind me of old school running backs. You know what I mean? Like just a ball of muscle that you saw. I know like Barry was little, but like, I mean, they just remind me of like an old school. You can hand it to them all 3 downs if you want. 90s style running back. Like they're so good. And you're right, Saquon. That's how bad the Giants are too. Like imagine having Saquon Barkley, as good as he is, and thinking you can replace him with Devin Singletary is outrageous. That's just how shitty the Giants organization is. You have one of the few difference maker running backs, and you let him walk, which is beyond me.
See, I've been a Saquon Barkley fan since Penn State, buddy. That's been my and to see them let him walk, and then they let him go to a division rival in the Eagles.
Yeah,
gotta be somebody that like never. I won't even get on that part because it's bad because that's retarded.
Absolutely. My number 2, we're not on the same page. Finally, for the first time in like 7 picks, I went Alvin Kamara, and
Okay.
Kamara. I mean, we both went running back, so we're still kind of on the same page. But he just does absolutely everything. I mean, the Saints are fucking terrible. He has 29 carries for 155 yards, 6 receptions for 60 yards. But unfortunately, this guy plays in New Orleans and they're terrible. So even though his team is among worst in the league, I have to recognize that game because those are monster numbers. But if the Saints didn't have Kamara, they might get relegated out of the NFL. Like they might have to adopt European soccer league and just be like, send them to the UFL or USFL. Like they're awful. You're lucky to have Alvin Kamara, and he is just wasting away in New Orleans.
Nah, he's fantastic. He really is. He catches on the back. It kind of reminds you of what you wish you saw from Reggie Bush.
That's who you thought he was going to be, man. Reggie at USC was so good.
It was so good. And even in his first 2 seasons in the NFL, he was good. And then he just fell off. But Kamara's kept it on, and he started for 3-4 years now. So
I always liked
oh.
Yeah, I always liked Reggie in the NFL. He just never was what you thought he was going to be coming out of USC.
No. That first season though with Drew Brees, I think it was his rookie season when he was catching the ball all over the field. He was running from the backfield, big sweeps. That's what I expected throughout his career. I didn't expect him to fizzle like that.
At some point, if you had seen Reggie Bush team up in New England with Tom Brady, I mean, think about how Tom Brady loved to pass to his running backs. I think Reggie Bush would have been a really good back in New England.
I agree.
All right, well, let's move on to your number 3 stud. We're rolling right through the studs here.
So I'm just gonna go with this as a 5 touchdowns is Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
He had a pick and he threw for 251 in the game. The Bengals suck as it is, but 5 touchdowns in a game, you got to get some recognition. Joe Burrow is not the problem in Cincinnati.
No, you've been saying that since the beginning of the year, too. And I have to agree with you. The yards aren't there, but they're not there across the whole league. But he's been exceptionally well on not giving the ball away. That team, there's just something not right with Cincinnati.
Not right. And they were saying, I was reading a bunch of reports that he was found screaming at the OC over there. And he was saying something about him. And they're saying that the reports that he doesn't want him calling plays right now.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, let's see how they do tonight.
Oh, no.
I think
Change that. It wasn't the offensive coordinator. It was the head coach. That's why I'm thinking it was a younger guy. It was the head coach who was.
Yeah, Zach. What's his last name? I'm drawing a blank here.
I can't even remember. That's why I said I couldn't remember.
It'll come to me at some other point, but yeah, he's. Joe Burrow is really good. I don't know. I can't pinpoint what's wrong. It might be the offensive line, but they went out and spent money on the offensive line. So I don't know what's wrong with them. I know defensively they haven't been good, but they weren't really buyers either at the trade deadline. So, I mean, either they're hoping to turn it around or what, but they're a team in trouble as far as I'm concerned. But Joe Burrow, great. Anytime you throw 5 touchdowns in a game, you're doing something right.
You're doing something right. So that's why I went with him.
And that's not a bad pick. My final team for the studs is a team that I thought would make it a lot sooner. I didn't go player. I went team. They rank number 1 in our power rankings every week. The Kansas City Chiefs finally showed up, and I know it was an overtime victory, but Mahomes was 34 or 44 for 291 and 3 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt, 106 rushing yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 14 receptions for 100 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 8 receptions, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. They're the modern day Patriots. When this team decides they want to play and turn it on, they just do what the Patriots did. They sleepwalk through seasons. They're still unbeaten. They're the best team in the football. They are the bar. That's why they're number 1 in the power rankings every week. They don't lose. Even when they play bad, they don't lose.
No, agree. I agree with all that. And I agree with the fact that I think D Hopkins was the best trade out of the whole trade deadline.
Well, we'll get to that for sure in a little bit, but I would find it hard to disagree.
Dude, he's all. You see the post on Twitter of him posting with pictures of Randy Moss and Tom Brady together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, just picture this for the rest of the season. it's scary to think about. And Kelsey is now completely back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some said with his headman in the beginning of the season because he didn't look great at the beginning of last season either.
No,
And
it's almost like, I mean, listen, the guy's a little bit older. He's taken a beating in his career, but I just think this is a team like they are what the Patriots were. The Patriots were a team that was like, we know this is week 3. It doesn't matter. Like, we're gonna win games, so we're gonna make the playoffs. Like, who are they scared of in that division? Who's gonna beat them? The fucking Chargers? God awful. The Broncos haven't been good since the 90s, really. I know they had 2 seasons with Peyton Manning, but outside of that, they haven't been that good. The Raiders are a joke. They haven't been good since the 90s either. It's I mean, this is their division. They don't have to work hard to make the playoffs. They work hard in the playoffs, and that's why they beat everybody.
nah, they're the best team in the NFL.
Hands
I've
down. I mean, there's just no argument.
I've been so hard on Mahomes all season, and finally, I mean, his yards weren't there, but everything else was. It just looked like now it's gonna start coming on, and you're like, are they really gonna try to go for like 17-0? Are they really gonna try to do it now? Like, oh, we cruised the NFL this easily and winning close games, and now we're just gonna start smoking people.
I am not like, I'm a Patriots fan through and through, and I wanted to see that 19-0 season. And it hurts you when you don't see it. I in my lifetime would be okay. Like, if Kansas City went 19, 20-0, whatever they would have to do, like, I'm okay with it. I don't want the Dolphins to be the only one. I hate it every year when the Dolphins would have the party. Like, this Chiefs team is so good, and I know why Patriots fans are threatened by them, and they're threatened by them because they're legit. Like, this is a true dynasty. And you didn't even get a chance to breathe and appreciate the Patriots. Like, the Cowboys had a couple years, but they had themselves, a 10-year window before like New England started to get going. In Pittsburgh, they had the 80s. But right now it's like the Patriots dynasty ended and the Chiefs were already part of it. They were building it. You didn't have a second to breathe.
No, you didn't, and it's it's tough to see, but I still look at it as we did it for 20 years. Can they sustain 20 years is the question. So I don't know on that, but they are a true dynasty. They really are. They're going to be good.
It's hard to swallow, but that Pat Mahomes is behind Brady, and I don't think there's anyone in front of him. Honestly, like, Pat Mahomes is chasing Brady, and it's going to take a few years. But like, if you ask me who do I want, Pat Mahomes or Joe Montana, I want Pat Mahomes. I mean, I'd be a prisoner of the moment, but Pat Mahomes can do things that no other quarterback can do. It's just going to be about longevity for him.
That's the biggest key.
All right. Well, that ends our segment on studs. Why don't we jump into our duds? Don't forget to like and follow our videos and comment underneath at who we got right and who we got wrong. And we'll be glad to respond to you in time anyway. So why don't we get to our duds? And Kiefer, who's your first dud?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. For the first time in a long time, Trevor Lawrence didn't make my list. But go ahead. Give me Trevor Lawrence.
16-31, 169, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. That team is awful. I don't think he's the right quarterback for there, or he might just not be the right quarterback anywhere, but that sucks.
Yeah, I didn't like Trevor Lawrence at Clemson. I just thought he was kind of okay. His numbers never wowed me. I didn't think he was that good. They stacked rosters, or be it what it was, but I was never a big Trevor Lawrence guy, and he doesn't win. And if you're going to be a stud quarterback in the NFL, you have to win, and he just doesn't seem like he's going to ever for that franchise. That's a loser franchise.
Agreed.
Right. Yeah. My number one dud is actually the Chicago Bears / Mike Eberflus. It's chop and block time, and believe me when I tell you, Mike Eberflus will be a casualty of war. He was 10-24 career with the Bears before coming into the season. 4-4 this season, so he's a grand total of 14-28. Then Bears front office went out and did their part. They got a bunch of people to surround their top. They have 2 top 10 picks, and I'm all for giving coaches some time to right the ship. But after this team's lack of discipline the week before, when the Hail Mary there, the Fail Mary, I should say, they come out and they're just completely flat, and they get trounced by the Cardinals. Mike Eberflus, he got to go, and they got to they should be looking at Lincoln Riley, who's Caleb Williams' college coach.
That's a fantastic idea. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking of some other coach of the NFL, someone that's not there, someone to bring the team together, a team coach. Because that's what I'm starting to see is the coaches that are acting like team coaches and are there for them. The players love them. People want to play for them. And you're starting to see that in Detroit and in Washington. And I want to see another coach like that, but that's a great idea.
I mean, he followed him from Oklahoma to USC. I mean, he likes playing for him. If you're Chicago, you've already done all this. Like Mike Eberflus is not the guy. I don't even think the guy really knows how to coach. Like I think they have an abundance of talent, which is why they've won the 4 games this year. But I don't. He looks as lost on the sideline as Gerard Mayo to me. Like he just doesn't look like he knows what he's doing.
I don't think he does. So that is agreed upon. That was a really good one. I really like that one.
I'm glad you like it. Let's jump into number 2. I hope you have Mike Eberflus.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I put old man Flacco there just because I was very disappointed in him after I was talking him up for the last couple of weeks.
You're a disappointed dad right now.
I am so disappointed. I wanted to see this old man rock and roll and show the world something because I want him to prove that Aaron Rodgers sucks. But either way, 16-27, 179, 1 pick. He looked like old man Joe finally. So I threw him in there.
Yeah, but something, Joe always loses in the regular season. The regular season don't matter. He's just got to make it to the postseason, and then he becomes postseason Joe. Nothing phases him. Everyone else melts under the lights, and he gets better. I still have faith in old man Joe. He's still the guy.
I feel you on that one, buddy. I started him in one league, so kind of let me down.
I don't know if I'd start him. I don't know if I'd go there, but listen, that's all balls on you.
Oh, it was a 2-quarterback league.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I understand why you're disappointed. He didn't show up for you. Now you don't show up. Don't go to his birthday party,
No, for real. Hit me in the heart with that one.
Well, let's stick with the quarterback theme because my number 2 dud is Geno Smith. Smith from week to week throws for a ton of yards. Okay. In fact, he leads the league in yards, passing yards per game. However, the downside of Geno Smith, 11 touchdowns, 10 picks. That's his ratio. He had 3 on Sunday and a loss to the Rams, including a pick 6. And what did Seattle lose by? 6. I mean, you're in the red zone, and he throws a 103-yard pick 6. Furthermore, the Seahawks are 0-2 in their division. They're 1-4 in conference play, and 3 of their wins, as far as I'm concerned, are completely fraudulent. They won the game week 1 against a rookie Bo Nix. Week 2, they beat Jacoby Brissett and the Patriots, and that took overtime to beat them. And their other win was against a Tua-less Dolphins team. Okay, I predict that they win 1 or 2 games going forward, because they have a tough schedule. They're at San Francisco versus Arizona, at New York Jets, at Arizona, versus Green Bay, versus Minnesota, at Chicago, at LA Rams. This team missed a real opportunity at the trade deadline to sell. It's definitely going to set them back going forward.
Oh, completely. I mean, as you're into it, that was my number 3.
All right, perfect. Then you pile on.
It's just, I was just looking at everything you said right there was completely true. They should have sold big. Now they're going to lose people in free agency this year. Like I heard Tyler Lockett was going to be up. I heard DK Metcalf was getting looked at. There was a lot of players that they could have went and traded for, but they did trade for 2 people that really weren't a significant value to the team at this point.
No.
Going forward, they're not going to have any success. Geno Smith is not their quarterback. You need a draft one, guys. Sorry to tell you.
Yeah, they paid Geno to be there, but Seattle's a mess. They're not better than LA. They're not better than Arizona, and they're not better than San Francisco. What are you doing? You're 4-5. You're last in your division. And like I said, I mean, who do you think they beat? Maybe they beat Arizona at home. I don't think they travel across the country to the Jets and win. I just don't think that that's a set win. Maybe they can go to Chicago if Chicago's as big a mess at the end of the season as I think they might be. Like, I think those are the only two games they have a shot is at home Arizona and at Chicago. I don't think they're beating anyone else. Why are you not selling? I don't get it. DK Metcalf's not going to resign there. Tariq Woolen's not going to sign there. You can throw all the money in the world that you want at those guys. I don't think they're going to be there. Geno's not your guy. 11 touchdowns and 10 picks is not going to cut it in the NFL. You're Jameis Winston.
That's a good one. I like that one because it was Jameis Winston that be on that. I like that.
Yeah.
He's just not. He's not a starting quarterback. Let him live his run. You had a great, couple seasons that you felt better about yourself. Move back on to backup. See you later. Draft somebody because you ain't signing nobody. And you're right. They should have traded everybody because they would have had more draft capital for the.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And while we're going through it, that was your third. I'll jump into my third. And my third is CJ Stroud and the Texans. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The Texans came to Foxborough and played soft against rookie Drake May. And it told me everything I needed to know about that team, okay? This is the same team that wore Letterman's jackets to a playoff game against the Patriots, and they got trounced. They're the little brother of all the good teams. I know that they're missing two key pieces. Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins are massive pieces, but it's no excuse to not prepare properly. Lazy football produces lazy results. Since they've beat New England, they're 1-2. CJ Stroud looks completely off. Okay, his last 3 games, he's got a 52% completion rate. He's throwing for 154 yards per game, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. They lost to the Jets, who can't find their way into a win before this. They just came off an embarrassing loss to the Patriots. I think Houston's a mess. And if you're a Texans fan, you better hope this is just the sophomore slump. And you better hope that the league did not figure out CJ Stroud.
So you could argue both sides of that. You could argue that the league has watched tape on him like you've been saying the whole time, and was he going to have a sophomore slump? You could say it's a sophomore slump. Or you could say in his sophomore season, he needed Nico Collins, he needed Stephon Diggs, and he needed a healthy Tank Dell to make him blossom. I think the injuries to the offense has a lot to do with what's happening to. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I just think that Stroud he's struggling this year without his weapons. That's for sure. I don't know. I don't think it gets better for the Texans this year, but it's like one of those things, like you had all this promise coming into the season, and now you're sitting at a point in the season where you don't look great. And great quarterbacks make other guys look better. I don't know why at the deadline they weren't calling teams about wide receivers. That's what you need. You've lost 2. Go find guys who are on the last year of their contract when you have money to spare. I don't get it. And like I just said, Matt Ryan went through a sophomore slump, and he had a great year. A lot of guys do when tape comes out on you, but they're just a mess right now in Houston.
No, they are. I would have called for DK Metcalf.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. DK, Jacoby Myers, there's tons of guys.
It's tons of guys you could have called about that are in the last years of their contracts that you're gonna get something for. And we'll talk about trades later. Either way, you should have traded for somebody for him. I agree with that. You should have worked on something about discipline. I agree with that. Can it turn around? That division isn't great.
No.
So Nico Collins is due to be back soon, isn't he? A couple weeks.
I know that they IR'd him, but it wasn't season ending, so he could be back soon. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 4-week one.
I mean,
it could have been. They need to figure out something, and they're not going to figure it out without doing something at the deadline.
and they didn't do it. I mean, lucky for them, their division's not very good. I mean, the South in both the AFC and the NFC are kind of garbage, so they're going to make the playoffs. It's just this is a team that had so much promise and poise, and this feels like a step back this year.
Agreed.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our studs and our duds. Like I said, make sure you comment. Make sure you let us know if we got it right, if we got it wrong, who we missed, who we should have added, and we will get back to you. But right now, we are going to jump into our NFL Power Rankings. Week 9. I can't imagine it moved much from last week. But that being said, I'll kick it over to Kiefer. Kiefer, who's your number 1?
Kansas City Chiefs. I think we should just leave them have a spot just for KC in itself because
they are. I'm not going to disagree with you. We can jump right to number 2, which I think you're going to have the same number 2.
Is Detroit.
The Detroit Lions, your future Super Bowl champion Detroit Lions. I've called it continuously. I think they're going to win a title. But yeah, it's the Detroit Lions. They handily beat the Packers. And I thought it was an impressive win.
It was very impressive. They are so good. Did you ever ask you that in the text about what those teams did that they beat recently and what they did the week after?
I said that in a podcast. That was
yeah,
a big rant.
Did you see what happened the last 2 games though?
No. Did the teams win?
And then I looked it up. Because you mentioned it, now I was really curious if it's going to happen all season. If it is, you just know the wrecking ball.
Yeah, I mean, so the Cowboys, the Cowboys lost to them, but then they had a bye week. I'll have to go and look it up again. I don't have any connection right now. Otherwise, I would look it up right now while we were recording this. But yeah, Detroit is just an absolute force, and I don't. Maybe they'll lose a game. They're leaving me speechless right now. Maybe they'll lose another one. I do think that they're going to win the Super Bowl. I have money on them to win the Super Bowl. So hopefully I'm right because I would love to see that. What's that?
Yeah, you called it a long.
Yeah,
you called that in the way too early power rankings, right?
I did. I mean, unfortunately, I think I had them beating Cincinnati, and I don't think Cincinnati's making the Super Bowl, but. But it's still hope.
Doesn't matter. You just picked Detroit, though, so it doesn't matter. They were going to win the Super Bowl for you regardless.
That's right. So let's jump on to our number 3, and I assume Buffalo Bills. I think I lost you there for a second.
I don't need to say anything less. They're the Buffalo.
I think I'm losing you a little bit. Are you going in and out, or is it me?
Is that better?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, it was the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, yeah, same thing for me. Buffalo Bills. Yeah, that's perfect now. You're back. Yeah, okay. Buffalo Bills, 100%. It's the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it doesn't change at all. It didn't move for me last week. Nobody did enough to unseat any of these guys.
I completely agree with that.
All right, well, let's get to the Patriots then, because the Patriots for me jumped up to 28, remember, and now it is week 9. They jumped to 31 for you, correct?
Correct.
Did they slide back to 32 for you?
I'm not 31 anymore. They lost 30? To Tennessee. I got him at 32. I got him at 32.
I have him at 32 in a 3-way tie. I think the Giants and the Panthers are right there with them. I couldn't not put them at 32 because I slid them up to 28 and I thought they'll beat Tennessee and stay at 28. I don't think there's many teams worse than them, but to lose to Tennessee, I have a big problem with that. And now you are 32 and you stay there like you deserve. Even if they win another game, I'll jump them up again, I'm sure. But the Giants, the Panthers, and the Patriots are all such messes that I have them in a 3-way tie for last.
There's no arguing that at any point because having it in a 3-way sounds about right. So, I'm kind of mad now. If we're going to be this bad and lose to Tennessee and we won 2 games, I'm kind of pissed we didn't win another game because I want that lower draft pick because I really need an offensive tackle.
I mean, I think we're still going to get the offensive tackle because they have the kid that kid. He's at like the number 9 right now when you look at mock drafts. But
The kid from LSU.
yes, that kid from LSU. I can't think of his name. It's eluding me. I've seen it over and over again, and I wish I wrote it down in my notes, but I didn't. And I ran through it. Not that I ran through it on time. As I was doing more of my notes, I again lost internet, so I'm like struggling to look stuff up. There's zero like service around here. Like my house is a dead zone. I'm surprised this is even working, but I don't know what to think of the Pats because again they win that game against New York, and then Drake May makes this fantastic play at the end of a game, and he looks really good throughout that game. I'm really impressed with Drake May, but he keeps that play alive, and he finds Stevenson. They tie the game, and you think now they have all the momentum. They're going to win, and then they just come out flat.
That play was awesome at the end of that game.
It really was.
Him running around, showing that he just wanted to find somebody in the end zone, find someone there. He's not. I wish Steve was here because he'd love to argue this because he was talking that I said the game looked all right for him. I believe Steve was pointing out stats that it didn't look so great.
Yeah.
But for a 21-year-old rookie, he does not look bad.
No.
Playing on an awful team.
Well, that's where you got to take it with a grain of salt. And I know Stevie, and if Stevie was here, this is, he would probably agree. He's a pessimistic view of most things anyway. And he even put it in a text message at one point. He's like, look at me being optimistic and you being pessimistic. The Patriots stink. There's no doubt about it. But Drake May, like that, I get it. You can't have interceptions, but he's a 21-year-old kid on a terrible team. And he doesn't look like Zach Wilson. He doesn't look like Ryan Leaf or some of these busts on a bad team. You actually see him, even when he throws the pick, it's like I can look past that because right now, I don't think that they're going to win many games. But at least I'm seeing him progress in areas like they're a garbage football team. They're a bad franchise. But when I watch him play, I don't think, well, we got the wrong guy. We got Zach Wilson. We got Trey Lance. We got some of these guys who just don't. He looks like he belongs at 21 years old. He's just 21 and he has to clean his game up.
It's exactly. He needs to work on certain things, decision making being one of them. You gotta figure out some of the things. You ever see how the ball sometimes just slides out and goes way right? It's not going.
Yeah.
Maybe a better grip on the ball or something, change something. But he needs to work on some stuff. And I'd have to seriously dig in and watch tape. I know that was the problem coming out of UNC was his decision making and throwing untimely picks. But he sees them. Is he learning from him? That's my biggest thing for him right now. Is he learning from it? Are you going to start seeing try to make less interceptions in the game? I can't fault him at everything because the team sucks. You have no legit receivers. You have nothing that you think you're going to have, and he's still on the ball. He's way more athletic than I thought he was, too, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, way more athletic than I thought he was. I did not know that he could run the football like that when he takes it. And he's not taking the hits all the time. He is sliding, running out of bounds, so he's keeping himself safe. He needs to build a bigger frame. I think he is going to be an okay quarterback if the team can really, truly build around him.
Well, that's the thing is you have to decide. Sorry, excuse me. It's been long nights and days. I think he's going to get better. I think he's going to keep working. All you hear from him is he's the first guy in. He's the last guy to leave. He wants to work hard. He wants to be great. And those are all good things. Now, can he be there? I don't know. That's for a crystal ball. But one of the things, like you said, him being athletic, he is so good at knowing when to get out of that pocket and run. And that's one of the things I've been really impressed with. When that pocket starts to collapse, which it doesn't take long with that offensive line, he makes his reads very quickly. And, the turnovers have to stop. But when he's making those reads and not seeing guys, he knows when to bail and he's extending plays. And that's huge in today's NFL.
Huge. And that's the biggest thing you see. And you like it, and you like to see it. If that was Brissett at that point, that end of that game, running around like that, he would have got sacked. He would have got hit, or he would have threw the ball and it wouldn't have went anywhere near a receiver. It would have just been a down part of the game. Him, on the other hand,
Yeah.
he took it like a champ, and he ended up bringing them into overtime.
He is a reason for the Patriots to have hope for the future for the fans out there, because I don't want to say it's hard for me to admit this. It's pretty like I'm not coming off of Joe Alt, but I'm wavering because I do see a path to success with Drake May as long as you get a line to block him. Like what I see out of him at this point, he's a good quarterback. At 21 years old, there's so many guys who come into this league in the first round and they're not good at all and they can't play. And even as talented, like I keep going back to Zach Wilson, but Zach Wilson was a gunslinger at BYU and he was people at the arm and you saw ghosts just like Sam Darnold. And there's just guys, I don't see that with Drake May. It feels like you actually got a good quarterback.
I completely agree with all that. I just need the team to build. Offensive line is key right now. That's the biggest thing for you. The defense is putrid right now. It's not very good, and they shouldn't look that.
No, they should have been sellers of that problem, right? You have a linebacker, a defensive head coach, and your defense is not good. They should have been sellers at the deadline, because I don't know what the asking price for Kyle Duggar was, but Kyle Duggar's not a good safety in the league. He's probably more of a linebacker, I think, because I don't think he can cover. Like I just don't think he can cover at all. He's a booming, like run stopping safety, but what'd you say? Sorry.
No, you're right. He's more like a hybrid, like the hybrid linebacker safety mix. You know what I'm talking about? The small linebackers that play back and forth. That's what he's more like. He's not a great safety. He doesn't cover very well. You nailed it all on the head. They should have been sellers. They could have found other people to trade for draft picks. They could have went and traded for an offensive lineman so the kid doesn't get killed that bad.
Yeah, so, I would have been okay with that. Like if you wouldn't, I mean, if you didn't have to, who went out and got a left tackle? Was it? I
got it right here. Hold on, that was my.
Was it Minnesota? I think it was Minnesota.
Minnesota went for Cam Robinson.
Okay, so there was a guy. What did it cost?
I don't know what it cost. I think it was a third round
pick.
Yeah, I think it was a third round pick.
And now he's only been in the league 4 or 5 years. He's not an older player, and he's going to be, I think, on their depth chart. If I remember correctly, he's sliding right into left tackle.
Nope.
He's going to be their starting left.
That is correct.
So I don't know why you make a move like that.
So New England, we might as well just move into this part of it, because New England went to make an offer for him, is what I was hearing reports of. The problem was Minnesota offered something, so they just gave it to Minnesota.
Okay. So there was no rebuttal. It was, New England maybe undersold, and not Baltimore, in Minnesota gave them either what they were asking for more, and they said, yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take that. So New England just kind of backed out of it.
Yeah. Well, why don't we jump right into these trades? Because we wanted to talk a little bit about the trades before we do a little bit of Celtics talk and then, wrap the show up. But around the league, we graded the trades for each team, and we can go right into them. If you want to go into your first trade, who you got?
I got Marshawn Lattimore at a B+. That was a good pickup by Washington. To get a quarterback for that team.
Marshawn Lattimore to Washington, I gave a solid B. I didn't give him a plus, but I gave him a solid B. That's the fifth best defense against the pass. So to go get Marshawn Lattimore, I thought that was really smart. He's a veteran in the league. He's 4 or 5 time Pro Bowler as well, if what I remember correctly. Really good, smart pick for a team that is in a good position to finally win a division and make some noise in the playoffs as well.
Agreed.
All right. What do you got for Davante Adams to the New York Jets?
I loved the trade at first. And he's opening up the field with Garrett Wilson. So I called it a C plus because he still hasn't shown really anything on the field.
I don't think that's a bad grade. I think it's a very fair grade. I gave it a C, a solid C. So we're right in the same neighborhood. And I gave him the C for the same reason you did. I was expecting Davante Adams to go there and be Green Bay, Davante Adams, and Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers clearly is not Green Bay Aaron Rodgers, but I thought maybe it would pull something out of him. And he did really nothing against New England. He's opening up the field more for Wilson versus what he's actually doing on the field. So I was with you. Solid C for me. Pending. Get better, but.
Okay, good. So I thought I was being a little harsh, but I'm sorry. I feel better
now. No. I guess I was a little bit too harsh.
So for the Chiefs, D-Hop, A++.
Okay, so I grouped it together. The Chiefs went and got D-Hop and Josh Uche, and I gave that.
Right. Okay, so I have Uche later in the list, but we could do it too in Uche. Adams was an A++. Uche have that. I got him at a B, and he's
okay.
So the Uche one, I was like, all right, I know he's some help at linebacker, edge, whatever you're gonna use him at. That's great, but the D Hopkins one was the one that really stood out to me.
Like I said, I grouped everything together. I didn't do them individual. If you went and got 2 guys, I judged it based on the 2 guys. And for D-Hop and Uche, I gave them an A+. I thought it was really smart. D-Hop alone was an A+. He looks revitalized. I know it's 1 game with him, or it's 2 games actually, as I was 2 games with him. But he made a significant difference. It looks like Kelsey's come alive since then. And Josh Uche is a Michigan guy. And I actually liked Josh Uche in New England. New England just is garbage. It's a dumpster fire there. But to get Josh Uche, if you don't need him to be a 3-down lineman and you're just going to have him pin his ears back and go get the quarterback, I think that's a great position to be in. The Chiefs defense is good. So adding depth to your linebacking core or to your edge rushing core, it was really, really, really a smart move.
No, it was, and that's why I graded what I did mine separately, so a little different. But either way, it was a good pickup for the team. I just think Hopkins now, with them not having a legitimate receiver with Rice gone, it was that extra step that Mahomes needed, as we talked about earlier.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not disagreeing at all. Another receiver, let's go to it, right? Buffalo's your next one on the list as well. Amari Cooper, what would you give him?
Gave him a B+.
B+.
I did, and there's again, we still haven't seen him come off. He's still kind of hurt. He's been on the injury list. I don't think he did great last week either, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look up my thing, but I had it all written down. I gave it a B+ because it's opening up the field for other receivers, and that team was just good anyway. They needed a legit receiver, correct? It's bringing heat off the younger guys, just like it would with Hopkins and other players, or Adams with the Jets, with Wilson. I just gave it a B+ because I think that I don't know if I probably would have traded for a different receiver if I could have. But either way, Cooper's a B+.
Okay, I was just trying to give you shit and see if you'd walk it back. I gave it a B+.
Okay.
I thought it was a really good move. It's a smart move. They needed a wide receiver. Amari Cooper is a veteran in this league. And for a veteran, I think he's only 29 still, or 28.
Yeah.
Like, he's a young. What's that? I think I talked over you. What'd you say?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, no, I just think it was a smart move. I think he was I think he was a solid pick in Dallas when he was in Dallas. I think he was solid in Cleveland. And I think we talked about it before. Buffalo needed to replace Diggs and Gabe Davis, and Amari Cooper's the right guy.
But no, I agree. Like seriously, like, they needed a receiver. You were saying since the beginning of the season, they gotta need a guy. They're gonna need a guy, and they went and got the guy. That was the smart move.
Absolutely. Helps right. And Keon Coleman's becoming the guy too. I was wrong on him. I compared him to N'Keal Harry.
I'm telling you, the addition of Cooper, like Adams, look at Wilson the last 3 weeks. It's just the addition to a good, legit receiver, defense is going to focus on him. It's going to open up stuff for the other guy, and they're not just getting slammed the whole time.
Yeah, no, I think that was a really, really good pickup. I mean, that's almost obviously he's not the player of DeAndre Hopkins, but it's almost as good for the team as DeAndre Hopkins for Kansas City.
Agree. And then,
well, I think we ought to go to Baltimore, right?
yeah, it sucks he's not playing tonight, but yeah, Deontay Johnson, I gave it a B+ too because it's just adding depth to an already strong offense, and he's a good football player, and he's probably happy to be out of the Carolina.
We definitely happy. Did you give Tre'Davious White a grade as well?
Oh, yes, I did. Sorry, you grouped him. My bad. Tre'Davious White. Where did I put him? I think I gave him a B+ too. Yep.
All right,
I gave
two. So I grouped them together and I gave them an A together. Deontay Johnson. We talked about it in our group text. That's a really good offense. So to add a really talented wide receiver is really, really smart. You know, Aguilar's been okay for them at times. Rashad Bateman is pretty good at times. Zay Flowers is he's a 1A, 1B type guy. And then Tre'Davious White, this is the worst team against the pass. Tre'Davious White is a solid cornerback in the league, and that's where they needed the most help. I give that an A. You addressed the need and you got better on offense. It's an A.
No, not bad. Like I said, 2 B+, an A I could take too, because that's a good grade. They really did. They worked in the team. They knew what they needed. They went and got what they needed, and now it's time to start making it further into the playoffs for them.
Absolutely. And what's your next grade on the list?
Mike Williams, and it was a C. I don't think that's a great pick up for them at all. I liked Russell Wilson not playing over Justin Jefferson. So Justin Fields. So
Justin Fields.
Gave it a C.
They also went and got Preston Smith. Remember, I'm grouping them together. Would you give the?
You're grouped. Yep. No, I think I gave him a B+. I did.
So I gave together a C.
Yeah. So probably together. You gave him a C+ together.
No. I'm saying for you gave him a C+ together.
Yeah, C+ together.
Pittsburgh, Mike Williams and Preston. I gave it a D.
That's a good one.
I thought they were nothing. I thought it was a nothing move. I hate Mike Williams. Not personally. I don't know the guy. He probably has a heart of gold. I don't think he can stay on the field. He stinks. That 50-50 ball where me and Steve disagree on who it was on in New York registers. The guy's 6'4". He doesn't know how to get up. He should be a 50-50 ball guy. He throws on the back shoulder. The guy looks completely lost, like he's never seen that play before in his life. And it's Aaron Rodgers' little bread and butter. And Preston Smith, Pittsburgh's a good defensive team. I guess I didn't get it. But I just thought really nothing moves for a team that is making a run at something. You wanted to go get a wide receiver. There was wide receivers out there to go get. And you probably could have called for Kendrick Bourne, perhaps. You know what I mean? Like there's just Mike Williams is a dud. He's a career dud.
Yeah, he wasn't a great pickup at all. But needless to say, it's Pittsburgh, so they're not going to win the division anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. They got a D from me and not the one Mrs. Horrigan gets. So Detroit, let's go to another D. What'd you get for Detroit and Zadarius Smith?
I gave it an A. They needed an edge rusher. They went and got one. That's what you need. That's perfect for them.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I gave it a B, just because he's a little long in the tooth. He's got some miles on him, but he was happy to get out of Cleveland, and they did need an edge rusher. So I thought it was a good marriage, a perfect fit, and that Detroit team is stacked anyway. So I think it's going to make him better. But for me, it's still just a B. I don't think he's a difference maker. I think he's a good player.
Yeah, I don't think they need a difference maker though. They just needed someone to replace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They go out and spend a lot to get somebody that they weren't going to need in a couple seasons anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, again, that's why I just gave it a B. I thought it was a good, smart football decision.
Nope, agreed.
All right, let's move on. This to me, there's the meat and potatoes sort of it. I have one more B, and the rest is kind of okay. But San Francisco going to get Khalil Davis.
To be honest with you, mine is just as bad going down. But I gave them a C2.
Yeah, that's a C for me as well. That's a nothing move, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, all the rest of them that were out there that were thinking about Cincinnati trading for Khalil Herbert, Minnesota for Cam Akers, all those, to me, Tennessee trading for somebody, a lot of those teams didn't make sense.
All right, so the one B I have left is Minnesota going and get a left tackle and Cam Robinson, and then getting Cam Akers because Aaron Jones is a guy who's been dinged up in his career and he's older. I just having another running back doesn't hurt, and getting a left tackle I thought was a good move.
Yeah, I'm just hating on it because I wanted New England to get him.
I have one I have two Fs on my board.
Okay.
My first one is Seattle getting Ernest Johnson and Roy Robertson Harris, which they're really nothing moves, but I just thought Seattle should be sellers, so I gave them an F. I thought that was a really bad move for a front office. You should have went and got draft picks, not got two players who don't really help you. And the other F should come as no surprise to you. Dallas going to get Jonathan Mingo. What is wrong with the Cowboys? You're not good. And I think they gave away a 4th-round pick for a guy who's had one reception and 9 yards in 3 weeks. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm telling you, Mike McCarthy needs to be fired. The GM needs to be fired. Jerry Jones needs to sell the team.
Jerry Jones is the problem is Jerry Jones is the GM, so he's not getting fired. This team is in purgatory until, Jerry Jones dies. That is such a stupid move. Jonathan Mingo's not good.
Not at all. And there was way other needs that they could have went for to help that team, and not a fucking wide receiver. So Dallas is retarded. They really are. They have problems. They've serious problems. When your quarterback's telling on the sidelines and looking at players and going, "Yo, we fucking suck."
Yeah.
On TV, you can see him. It's
your
crazy.
Franchise quarterback who
Dallas is awful.
He's out now. I mean, he's hurt. So you're rolling with Cooper Rush and Jonathan Mingo. This team is a dumpster fire too. They should have sold.
They should have did a lot of things. A lot. You could have got a lot of value in all those players too. Jeez.
Yeah, there's I wouldn't have sold off CD. I'm not selling off Micah Parsons, but there's I don't know that they could have really sold too much. But if you were gonna if you were gonna make moves to try to get better, Cooper Rush has been on that team for a while. He's absolutely terrible. He's garbage. He doesn't belong in the NFL. I don't understand the thought process of the Cowboys in this one. It was a terrible, but I know a 4th-round pick isn't this high pick, but I mean, you're still in the hundreds, the early hundreds round of the draft. There's still good players in the 4th round. You find gems in the 4th round. So I didn't understand the move, and I gave it an F because I thought it was just a really dumb move by Dallas.
Agreed.
All right. Well, why don't here, why don't we jump into some Celtics talk? We have a little bit of time left before we wrap the show up. So why don't you lead us off with the Celtics?
7-2. Lost last night.
A disappointing loss.
They were doubling Tatum in the whole first quarter, and you saw it. I mean, Derek White shot pretty good last night, but Tatum still ended up, and Tatum still had 30 last night, didn't he?
Yeah, and he shot 50% from the field, I believe, as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, and you're missing Brown. And we know Porzingis is out. This is fine, but you're missing Brown, too. And that kind of hurts playing a team with Steph Curry on it and stuff like that. But if that was a first quarter first half because no one in the Golden State Warriors starting lineup had more than double-digit points.
No, they had 3 guys come off the bench that all had double digits. And again, I don't have anything in front of me, but I believe it was Wiggins, Buddy Hield, and Jonathan Kuminga all had double digits.
Yep.
But 7-2, it's disappointing because there was at times I'm like, boy, I'm looking at that list and saying they might not lose. They might go 10-0. They might not lose to maybe 20s. So to be 7-2, I think they could have beat Indy, they could have beat Golden State, but 7-2, they're so good. They just really are. They're gonna beat up teams. They're not, no one thought they were going undefeated, but it does sting to lose to Golden State because I really thought this was like a revenge game for Tatum, and he was gonna come out and score 50. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the vibes I had going into that game.
Yeah, you weren't the only one. A bunch of people said it yesterday online that Tatum was coming back to drop 50. I saw it like 7 times. That's why I said the 39. I mean, I thought Tatum was still going to have a great game, and he didn't play bad at all. The team didn't play bad at all. It was a good game. Am I a little upset that they lost to Golden State? Yeah. But I'm not scared of anybody in the East, and I'm definitely not scared of Cleveland. So they might be right now, but I'm not scared of them in a 7-game series.
And I know this is Boston boys sports, and we kind of talk everything. We don't just talk Boston, but what is wrong with Milwaukee? Like, how do you not fire Doc Rivers at this point?
Ben should have fired him. I think you were saying it last week. Didn't you say it last week in the podcast that he should be fired?
I don't know if it was the group text or if it was the podcast, but they should be firing Doc Rivers. Or like Giannis wants to. There's like thoughts that he wants to go to Miami, which leaves Dame in purgatory again. He was in Portland and now he's in Milwaukee. And I don't know if Dame's like he's slowly fading into Russell Westbrook, maybe. Obviously a more effective scorer, but if you're Milwaukee, as bad as they've looked, do you start entertaining like we could get a king's ransom for both these guys where they're still in their prime? We could rebuild on the fly right now and get some picks. And I know it's not the NFL, so it's a smaller window of guys in the NBA. And some of these guys come out at 18, 19 years old after 1 year of college, and they don't mature for a few years. You're kind of seeing it in Orlando now. Banchero is fantastic, but like the Wagner brothers are there, and they've kind of been. Jalen Suggs is good, but like at a certain point, Milwaukee hasn't lived up to the hype. It's too early. I know that. But at what point do you say maybe start shopping these guys or fire Doc Rivers and bring in somebody who can get this to work?
It should have been 3 games ago. Fire him, get him. It should have been before. And trading him, I heard the Miami talks, like you said. I read about it. You've mentioned it a couple times before this. I think Steve was talking about it too. Why not trade him and rebuild? What do you have to lose at this point? You already fired and you fired a better head coach for a coach that didn't do nothing for you at the end of your last season going into this season now. Giannis is Giannis. You can get a lot for Giannis. And that's right then and there. You can get a lot for him.
If there's now, put your GM hat on right now if you could. I want you to be a GM of a team that you think should trade for Giannis. Who should go get Giannis?
In my head right now.
Yes. If you're, what team is like, let's bring in Giannis. You can say Miami if you think it's Miami. I have a different team in my head.
You got Giannis. You got. Oh, that's tough. There's a couple teams you could go to. I would want to see him in my, as much as I know Steve's a Miami hater and hates Miami. If I'm going to see him go to a team as just like a fan, I'd want him to see him in Miami. Him, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler. It's just you might have to give up Tyler Hero for him.
It's probably giving up Tyler Hero. So if I am the GM of the Dallas Mavericks, I make that call and I see what it takes. And I tell them Kyrie's off the table, Luka's off the table, and probably Clay's off the table. And I say, what's it going to take to get Giannis here? How many picks is it going to take? What players on our team do you like? Because that team is a good team. That team was in the finals last year, and really they're a big guy away. And I think Giannis could really abuse a guy like Kristaps Porzingis if you meet them again in the finals. I also think he's a guy where it would be really interesting. I know he's a power forward. He's a slender build, but you have to go up against a team like Dallas. He can go toe-to-toe with Jokic. He can guard Jokic on the perimeter and in the paint. I just think like Giannis to Dallas is a perfect fit, if you ask me.
That's a way better fit than Miami. And you build a super team in all in itself. Who you give that you don't touch three people. You can't touch Clay because you just brought Clay in.
Yeah.
So it just depends
Luka,
on
Kyrie, Clay, and Giannis.
That'd be awesome to start and lineup.
Well, so you do that, right? And you shop off a bunch of picks, some young players, whoever they want on that roster outside of those three. Anybody else is up for grabs. Anyone you like on that team, you can take them, and we'll give you a litany of picks, which you have to do every other year, I think, in the NBA. That's how they rebuild. They have Dame. Then you can move Dame at a certain point, and you could call LA and say, do you want Dame? You got LeBron. You got maybe Dame will go out there. I don't know, but my point is, we said last year that Dallas. I think around the finals, Dallas was a big man away from being a real contender against Boston. You get Giannis there, and I just think that's a perfect marriage.
No, it is. It's really good trade scenario. That's a better. You have that better GM hat than me anyway, but that's a good GM pick right there. You call for Giannis, you get Giannis. Like you said, they could do whatever they want with Dame later. Dame going to LA, I could see that happening. Going to play with LeBron and company over there. So I really like that trade. That's a better trade than mine.
Well, to me, it's like Dallas needs a big man, and Giannis, he doesn't shoot well, but he doesn't have to with Luka and Kyrie and Clay on the team. He can bring the ball up. He can play down low. He is a tough matchup for anyone. I just think that's so perfect of a move. And then Dame, and then you shop Dame out too for picks. Listen, it's Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a small market team. You already got your title out of Giannis. If you can rebuild and have a ton of picks, I don't know who's coming out in the basketball. So fluid the way guys come out after 19, but that Cooper Flag, right, for Duke, is that his name? Cooper Flag.
Oh, yeah.
He's the next big thing. So if you're Milwaukee and you're terrible, why not trade these guys away, get a bunch of picks? That way, in the event you're not the worst team and you don't win the lottery, but maybe you have 3 first-round picks you can trade to somebody to move up to the first-round pick and bring in Cooper Flag or another guy. Like, that's how you rebuild on the fly in the NBA, if you ask me. In money in sports is the salary cap has become a fallacy. It's not real. So why not go get it? The Celtics have Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis. They have 4 huge contracts. Why can't Dallas do the same thing?
No, agreed. But you also talk about what the Celtics did for themselves on building to the draft and turning that to Milwaukee. So Milwaukee kind of wins the situation too, because you could be building a team for the future at this point right now instead of holding on to that contract. So I agree with you on that. That's a good one.
Well, I try to appeal. I aim to please. And listen, if the Dallas Mavericks are looking for a GM, just like last week, I told the NFL teams, come find me. When you know us here in Boston Boys Sports, I'll help you win a championship in any sport, be it baseball. I know the Red Sox aren't calling because I've been too hard on the Red Sox. But if they want to call me, I'll spend your money, John Henry. Don't you worry. We'll get a title in Boston sooner than later, you know?
I like it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect time to wrap it up. What do you think about the Celtics going forward before we end the show here?
I'm not worried about the Celtics. I really am not. They were going to lose games. I was being an optimistic fan when I said they were going to win probably 20 in a row. But I completely am fine with them. They're so good. Let Brown come back. They'll be even better. I'm not worried about you guys. I got faith in you guys for repeating. Put you in my bet slip. Tatum, I put you in my MVP slip. So let's see it going, baby. Let's see it.
The bet slip that you should put down right now. I got the Dodgers winning the World Series. Texas Longhorns winning the national title. Boston Celtics to win the NBA championship. Florida Panthers to repeat and win the NHL Stanley Cup. And who was my last one? Someone in March Madness. It might have been UConn. I don't remember who my fifth one is, but that's oh no, sorry. As I was, Detroit Lions was my to win the Super Bowl. That's my
Right. Yep.
team parlay. So I think it was like $10 to win like 42,000. Right now, I already got the Dodgers. So
Yeah, the Dodgers.
they're too good. They were too. That's too good. Too big to rig, baby. You can't beat them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. You heard it here. The Celtics are going to win the title. We've talked about it through and through. They are so good. I completely 100% agree with Beard on that one. And going forward, hopefully Stevie will be back with us. Like I say, and we always say, we are partnered with Jones and for Sports. We make sports better. Check them out on X. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on YouTube. They are putting out quality content every single day. They've got tons of followers. Go check them out. Check us out at Hub Boys Sports. Kiefer, it's always a pleasure doing this with you, and I'm hoping we get Stevie Stats back so he can argue with us. But anything else, Spear?
I'm good, buddy. Let's go. Oh, by the way, 7-0. Cincinnati. Oh, never mind. They just scored a touchdown, so it's 7-7 going in the second quarter.
Who scored for Baltimore?
It was just a passing touchdown. Lamar threw one. I didn't see who it was to.
Mark Andrews?
Nope. It was not number 15. I can't see his back of his name.
Aguilar.
There we go. Do him in the corner.
Well, Lamar, I got him in fantasy. I was hoping I got Mark Edwards as well, so I was hoping I went to him. All right, Beard, take it easy. That'll do it for us here at Boston Boys Sports Podcast. We'll see you again next time.
Later, buddy.
Later.